Nope. What is up, everybody? Welcome to my review of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, a horror retelling of the childhood classic. And this is something that kind of went a bit viral, went a little bit crazy last year when it was first announced. You had posters, you had the first trailer, garnered a lot of interest in the horror community, wondering, probably more morbid curiosity of what the hell this is going to be, gained a lot of controversy with, moms and other people that didn't want the bastardization of Winnie the Pooh, and I think the director even got death threats at one point. And the virality of just the announcement of the movie was so popular that before this even went in front of general audiences, they have not only already greenlit a Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, but they have also greenlit a Bambi and Peter Pan horror film. Lucky us. So to set the stage, I was not one of the people that was excited or even morbidly curious about this whenever it first came out. I immediately rolled my eyes because I saw this, I saw the poster, I saw that the look of the costume just looked extremely cheap, and I went, okay, this is going to be a really low-budget, generic slasher film that is going to be completely reliant on the gimmick of seeing a child property done in a really rated R fucked up fashion. I have no interest in that. I have no interest in supporting that. And honestly, if I didn't have this channel and I wouldn't have 3,000 comments by the end of this week asking me when I was going to review this film, I would not have even watched it in theaters. I don't even know if I would have watched it after it came onto VOD. It's just a movie I could not have had less faith in. But even with that being said, as the day got closer to where I was finally going to go see this, it was supposed to be a one-night Fathom event. They eventually kind of expanded it a little bit. And luckily, my local theater played it. How much more pissed I would have been if I would have had to drive to see this fucking thing. But as today grew nearer, I started to gain a lot of optimism. I never watched the trailer. I don't do for a lot of horror movies nowadays, so I had no idea what tone this movie was going for. And so I started to hope that maybe they were going to do something really fun and creative and campy with this. Maybe they're really going to lean into the Winnie the Pooh lore, if you want to call it that. Maybe they're going to have a lot of really fun gags with the Winnie the Pooh character voices, and maybe Winnie the Pooh is going to have like signature Winnie the Pooh kills and like, putting a honey pot in somebody's head and smashing it or something crazy like that. Maybe there's a chance that I could watch this film and just get some fun, goofy, campy, low-hanging fruit joy out of it. And hopefully this is not something that's going to take itself dead-ass serious and do nothing creative with this property. You want to guess which one it was? Unfortunately, this is going to be one of those times where the vast majority of this review is going to be me ranting and bitching and complaining and pointing out all the things that I hate about the 90 minutes that I just spent. So if you don't get entertained by that kind of video, I totally get it. I'm with you. But just walk away knowing that you should not give any money to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Here's a nice piece of shit.
And hopefully you weren't going to anyway, because you're smart and not bound by fucking having a horror YouTube channel, having to watch shit like this. So starting off with the positives, and the only single solitary thing that I can say that I mildly enjoyed about this film was that the animated little prologue opening with the narration kind of setting the tone and, giving you the prelude to what kind of story this is going to be, that actually set the stage very well. I was actually really intrigued after it got done with the little prologue and set up why these characters are going to be a much darker version than what we know and what set them off and where we're going to go with the plot of this film. It got me. First couple of minutes, I was like, okay, maybe. And now moving on to the negatives. Fuck this movie. Good night, everybody. But no, seriously. Okay, so the plot of this film, and this is not a spoiler whatsoever, don't even consider this movie something that qualifies to use the word spoiler, but nonetheless, this is information that you were given in narration in the first 90 seconds of the film. You have the very general premise, the same setup as the classic Winnie the Pooh, where you get all the Winnie the Pooh forest characters. Christopher Robin as a kid stumbles upon them, everybody's best friends forever, but then Christopher Robin grows up. And he has to go away to college, and he leaves all of the animals, Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore, all of them behind to go on to adulthood. And they're left in the forest without a human companion, without somebody to bring them food, and when the first winter strikes, they start to starve, and out of desperation, they eat Eeyore.
Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
And the mentally destroying trauma of that event permanently changes them into these feral beasts that despise Christopher Robin and every other human being on Earth. And so if you're a human and you come across these things, they're gonna fuck you up. And they do absolutely nothing beyond just set up that generic little setup to have slasher killers with a Spirit Halloween budget Pooh mask and Piglet mask, and just have dudes walking around killing a bunch of nameless, personality devoid characters that just by happenstance decided to go into this little cabin that is in the Winnie the Pooh woods territory. That's the movie. Absolutely no story. And yes, a lot of slashers don't have story, but I'm a guy that prefers story. I prefer character arcs, so sue me. I was hoping there'd be something here. Nothing. Characters? None. Every single one of these girls that is brought into this situation to be the cannon fodder for Winnie the Pooh and friends, they have no personality, they have no character arcs. You will not remember a single one of their names. They kind of look similar to each other, so when one dies, you kind of think it's another one. I mean, they're generic. They might as well be cardboard cutouts that just get, you know, sliced up and strangled and everything else. You wouldn't know much of a difference. The score in the movie is abysmal, and not in like an ironic way, not in a way where maybe they're like playing up the childlike tones of Winnie the Pooh and adding some horror tones into it. It's just generic tension music, generic rising action music that I could probably find some better shit on YouTube right now just by searching royalty-free tension music. But the biggest issue and the biggest disappointment by far is that they do dick with the Winnie the Pooh concept. They don't do anything funny or clever or campy with it. There's no Winnie the Pooh voices or Eeyore voices or Tigger or anything like that where it can actually be so ridiculous that it's fun. There's no Winnie the Pooh signature kills or playing into the lore in that way. It's literally just fucking hillbilly dudes with garbage-looking Winnie the Pooh mask and a garbage-looking Piglet mask. You don't even get the other characters, by the way. Fucking two of them. They introduce all of them in the animated opening with the owl and rabbit, and you get two of them the entire movie. Two! But the entire point of this is to play up Winnie the Pooh. It is to, you know, throw some blood and some grime on the Winnie the Pooh name and explore it in a dark fashion, and they don't do any of that. Nothing. I swear to God, if you take the first 2 minutes out of this movie, rename the character from Christopher Robin to fucking John Smith, and then take the Winnie the Pooh mask and the Piglet mask off, this is just like a wrong turn sequel that got a really fucking low budget. Nothing about the story or the character arcs or the visuals or the kills or anything says Winnie the Pooh. And so not only is that annoying and disappointing, but it's also fucking frustrating because it's like, what? Aside from just trying to be edgy for the sake of being edgy and using this bullshit gimmick to pull in a lot of us dumb, naive horror fans that are just morbidly curious to your film to pad out your box office a little bit, why the fuck did you do this to Winnie the Pooh if you're not going to really do anything with Winnie the Pooh?
You disgust me. How can you live with yourself?
And to make matters even worse, once I came to the realization in the first 20 minutes of the film that there's nothing creative in store, they're not going to be doing anything with the Winnie the Pooh concept that's going to be fun or creative or interesting or entertaining. It's just generic, super serious, dark, ultra mean-spirited slasher film with generic bear and generic pig mask. Once I realized that's the movie I was in for, I still tried to hang on to some optimism and said, okay, well, that's disappointing, but hopefully there's some cool kills. Hopefully there's some decent gore. Maybe there's going to be a lot of tits. I don't know. The very low-hanging fruit version of slashers is tits and kills, so they got to at least have that in store for us, right? Nope. Not only are the kills uncreative and all things that we've seen before, just strangulations and stabs and throat slits. You know, there's one kill with a car that's maybe mildly unique, but not really. But the gore is shot like shit. It's like off to the corner of the frame, obscured, or it's in really, really dark lighting, or it's, you know, kind of obscured in the background, or it's cut away. There's even some kills where it shows Winnie the Pooh about to do something, and then it flips the camera and shows the person who's watching it happening, and then it flips back to Winnie the Pooh and the deed is already done, and you're like, what the fuck? And the gore that you actually can see, the ones that is not obscured, the one where the camera actually sits still for a couple fucking seconds, is a lot of CG blood. And so even if you go to this movie for the most basic of slasher expectations, even you will walk away with blue balls. This is the type of film that just insults me to my core as a horror fan. When I meet people and they tell me straight-faced, I don't like horror films, they all suck, I imagine these are the types of films that they have seen. This is the worst example of what this subgenre has to offer, and I honestly don't understand why any horror fan would look at this and defend it in any way. And I've already seen some of it on Twitter. Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that horrible. I've seen worse. Okay, it still doesn't mean that it's good. If it's not that bad, you're still saying it's bad. If you're saying I've seen worse, it doesn't mean this is awesome. It means it's just not quite as shitty as some other stuff that you've seen. Why is this acceptable? Why is this not something where as a collective we go, no, you can keep that. Your sequel, your little fucking cinematic children universe that you're gonna splatter blood all over, you can keep that shit too. And the fact that they already have the overconfidence just because of the Twitter virality of this to greenlight 3 more films before this even sees $1 out of the box office just annoys the living shit out of me. I'm not somebody to wish failure on a filmmaker. I'm not somebody to wish failure on a production company or anything like that. I honestly hope they take whatever criticism they get for this and they make something better. And if it has to be Blood and Honey Part 2, then hopefully Blood and Honey Part 2 is much better. Like a fucking lot. Not since Jeepers Creepers Reborn have I been so personally insulted by somebody's efforts in bringing a horror film. I'm not as upset, I'm not as like pissed off about the quality as I was with Jeepers Creepers because I knew this was probably going to be bad and had no investment whatsoever in it. But the fact that this is inevitably going to be profitable, because it doesn't take much for these movies to be profitable, and so those of us that have to watch it to review it, as well as those of us poor bastards that give it a chance out of pure morbid curiosity, are about all it needs to get over into the green. It just depresses me. It depresses me that there are films out there that are genuinely great that might not even get a theatrical run, or might not get sequels, or don't get a lot of people that watch it and give it a chance, but movies like this already have a fucking cinematic universe coming down the pipe. Why? So needless to say, guys, I pretty much despise this movie. Absolutely not my thing whatsoever. And if you align with my movie taste in any way, shape, or form, it's probably not going to be your thing too. Those of you that this is your thing, have fun. But I don't know. I just don't understand why this is still acceptable. I don't understand why a movie with this low level of effort and low level of creativity is still deemed something that we should not only accept as horror fans, but praise and ask for more. And there are those that absolutely will do that. You know, again, respect all opinions, but I don't get it whatsoever. If you're going to do something like this, if you're going to put Winnie the Pooh out there and you're going to literally bastardize a beloved, timeless children's property to have a gimmick that's just going to be cheaply profitable in the theaters, at least do something creative with it. At least try to have some fun with it and give us some reason to experience this. But there was none of that. It was just a gross, mean-spirited, needlessly gory version of Winnie the Pooh that I didn't want. And after seeing it, I damn sure don't want any more, even though we're fucking getting it. Well, that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed this, please click over here for a playlist of all of my 2023 reviews so far. And I'm also going to put my ranking of all of last year's horror films for you to check out as well. Please like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss everything in the future, as well as the inevitable review of Blood and Honey Part 2. Fuck! And as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.